Hello guys, what's going on? Kevin Kitho here again with another 3ds Max for the oil and gas engineering sector. So today's video is going to be say a short one, covering sort of let me see, how to animate cable, rope, wire if you like. I've seen a lot of these tutorials online, a few various ways of doing this. This is going to be in 3ds Max. I'm going to keep it quite simple. I know you can do this with bones and sort of IK solvers, TieFlow, MassFX and whatnot, keeping it very dynamic. But in my sort of workplace, we tend to need a bit more sort of quicker control over our objects, or say, sorry, not our objects, but our umbilicals, power lines, power cables, risers. You can see here, typical offshore kind of, essentially it's like a shoelace, if you like. Think of it as a shoelace attached to a structure going over chutes. Or you can kind of think of a power cable coming out of a TV. You kind of want to control that like a snake. Yeah, I've been doing this for quite some time. So I'm going to kind of share the tips and methods that I kind of use to animate this process. It's probably easier if I show you an animation. I'll show you here. I'll just play this for a few seconds. As you can see here, it's kind of connected and controlled, very similar to how I used to animate rope, I guess, back in the day, snakes and whatnot. So it's all this dynamic. You can control this through dynamic cables and stuff, but found a much easier way to do this for achieving the same effect, being able to manipulate and control this quite easily without having to run simulations and whatnot, and set up fancy bone structures. So yeah, it's quite a good technique that I will share with you today. So let's begin. I reckon the first thing I can do is show you a basic setup with how I would rig the SplineIK. Then maybe I can do a second step where we can have it coming over a vertical lay system or an object, if you like. So the first thing I do here is we will start a new layer just to make sure we're on default. Okay, and then what we'll do is potentially take a SplineIK. I don't know. We'll draw, say, let's call this 20 meters, something like that. 20 meters. Okay, so we've got SplineIK here as our sort of, which is going to act as our cable or rope, if you like. The next thing we will do is, we will actually put this on. In fact, we can just put that on now, shall we? Turn that off just now. What we'll do next is come into here, increase these steps, and you'll see why later on. We'll take off optimize for now. What we want to do is add set amount of evenly spaced vertexes along this spline. So what we do here is we type in normalize spline. This is a good modifier, or a modifier. This is quite a useful modifier that I use quite a lot. We can show the knots. We can then add a knot count and say, I don't know, over 20 meters. We're going to need a little bit more than that because it's going to yeah, so what we can do here is the normalize modifier and say 5 control points, because essentially we're going to attach these two dummies, SplineIKs, and control it, manipulate it over our object. So I think for this 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, let's go with 5 for now and see what we get. So from here, in fact, let's go back into our line. We'll turn it on to be renderable for now. Make this nice yellow. Okay, just I don't know, green. You can see that. Okay, so purpose of this, we'll just make that a bit thicker so we can see it. Hit F4. See, we probably need a bit more geometry in there just so we've got an evenly smooth sort of rope cable, if you like. So put in 40. I mean, you can get away with 20 or keep optimize on. Take it off. So we'll go with 20, right? So the next thing you want to do here is usually I collapse this, but just in case we need to go back, we will add a spline, editable spline. Once you're kind of happy with your 5 knots here, and right click, we will hit convert to editable spline. Now we've got 5 evenly spaced verts along this spline. Should have maintained our 20 interpolation steps and our thickness. Okay, good. So the next thing is we are going to hit F1, go to vertex mode, select them all. This is quite an important step here. You want to right click because currently they are set to smooth or corner. What we want are Beziers. So right click to Bezier. The end ones we don't need to. I mean, the end ones we only need 1 control point. So I turn them into Bezier corners. But these all now have 2 Beziers each end. So far so good, yeah. So from here, let's create, say, yeah, let's just say this is a, let's create a control object up here. So do is a simple cylinder that can act as our end fitting or whatever the case may be in your situation. Essentially, this is going to be our parent control object, which is going to pull this rope along wherever it needs to go. So let's call this CP as a control point. Let's just align that to make sure it's bang in the middle. Take it back to the top. Take that 180 and snap that to the end. Okay, so far so good. Make that a meter at 0.25. Okay, so the next one we'll do is take our rope or our cable, and we will go to SplineIK Control. Now this is going to give us 5, or depending on how many verts we've placed in, control points. If we hit create helpers, it's going to create our dummies for us. Quite small here, so let's just put crosses through there as well. Again, I don't tend to use dummies, I use points. Put this at 40 so it's nice and visible. Okay, so what I like to do is just link that to our parent object. So now is that we'll hit save. Once we've hit save, the next step will be to, let's say, place an object in here. Say we want to lift this up over, I don't know, a chute and back down, or if you were kind of lifting this up onto a table, for example. I already have a object in my scene. It's called a vertical lay system. But if I put a plane in here, it might be easier for me to see. So imagine that was our deck. And then we would have, I guess, our seabed, sorry, our sea surface kind of down here. Let's just color that blue, cut transparent time being 0.2. Okay, so the way we would do that is just put that to the deck here. The way we go about doing that is, okay, so there's our deck, right. So the way we go about doing that, controlling this up over here, down through here. I'll show you a basic how I would do this for an animation. Okay, so what I would do is I would create a new layer here, call this path follow. What I'm going to do is draw a path that I want this our object to take the shape of, that we can animate, come down and through, and then essentially link our object to it. So we will go with an Arch curve, or a spline is fine as well. You can create another spline. So what we'll do is hold shift, come up, want to come up to sort of here, come over the chute, down here, maybe add a curve here, I guess, down through here. We'll just tidy this up a bit. That to the deck. Okay, just tighten this all up. Sure we are. But we will need to find it. A couple points here, maybe one here as well. Top one here. So it's just a matter of fine tuning. Come through, down. It's probably okay here. So take this straight through. It's fine. Shift that to the center. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we are going to path constrain all of these dummies to our curve. So we'll start with the back one. Animation, constrain, path constrain, curve path, snap to there. As you can see, scrub that now, it's going to follow that. Don't need that, so we'll delete them both. Also increase this to like 500 now. Set that, I put to follow. That. We will snap that, take off loop, set to 0. We do the same for the second one. Constrain, go. Delete the animation it creates for us, but we'll move it over, say 10%. Take off loop again. Just repeat this process. Here we go. Into oops. Again, to path constrain. Get to here. Delete our dummies. Take our loop off. Move this one to something like 20%. Okay, so you can see how what I'm doing here. Hopefully this is quite clear. We do another path constraint to here, to the animation, on loop. We'll use the follow and I'll show you the way later on what we do with that 30%. So one other important thing we need to do is go back into all these and hit follow. Sometimes you can get lucky, and when you hit follow, the axes are depending on which window it created it in, line up. You can use these to flip them round, whatever, but most of the time it just requires you to rotate these or realign these. So you can see in this window, I like to just hit 0, 0, 0, right click on my mouse, then simply just bring that back in line with our path here. Again, we take that one, right click, 0, 0, right click on all these. Right click, sorry, and then just move these back into position where we do any animating. Boom, boom, boom. Back 180 degrees, same for the final one. 0, 0, 0. Again, it's a bit whack, but it's just a matter of bringing that back to 180. Okay, so there's our starting point. The first thing we will do is, I guess, place this roughly here, so it takes the profile, the shape of the profile. You can have that as a starting point. I mean, you can actually also be nice is to lift that up actually, so that's what I'll do here for you guys. So the first movement will be, say, I don't know, 50 frames. Hit N on your keyboard, bringing that up to say here, to here. That's it. At this point, you probably have a crane or a winch connected to this end fitting, if you like, or yeah, this end fitting. The crane would lift it up to this point. Then I like to just keyframe the start point for all my helpers. So we know that's 50. Then I guess the end would be this point here. And we can lay it down here again, but we'll go one step further and come over here and then back down and round. Let's just make this a bit, no, we'll just leave that, that's fine. It's only for demonstration purposes. So 300, we want this end fitting to end up all the way down here, entering the sea surface. Take that, just make sure we're at 0. We are. Over our profile, in plan view as well. Just check that we're over. Yep, we are. There we can. Oh, just a bit slightly over. We'll change our path constraint to, I don't know, red, because I like red. We'll rename that as path. Okay, there we go. So start point is from here, end point is here. And it's just literally a matter of animating all your dummies really to come round and over, to take that shape and round onto this shape. So I guess we can start with this one. And position will be something like 90%. Check in this window. Oops, I hit in 390. There we go. Hit A. Sorry, we hit E. And just kind of come round. In fact, we could maybe take that a bit closer to say 91. No, in fact, we'll bring that to something like 85, 86, 87. There we go, 87 degrees, percentage, sorry, with an angle of minus 166. Take the next point, drop a 70, nope, 75. Looks like an 80 to me. Take the next point. Now, one thing to note is if you do have quite a long path with a few twists and turns, tight twists and turns, then you probably want to add to your actual main cable or rope or SplineIK maybe 6 to 8 points. But we really don't want to overdo that because then we're going to have to animate every single dummy. So take this back over here, 70. Again, it's just a matter of figuring it out. 70, 75, C, 74. And the final one, we'll maybe just put that just so it's hanging over here. above the chute. 65. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is animate our end fitting here. And to do that, I take in my, well, look at our motion path. Obviously, it's going from here to here. It's not what we really want to do. So we, for example, this roughly about 150. We want to have this over our tower here, like so, all the way around about there. Then what we can do is take our Beziers. That's easier if I our VLS, take the Beziers. Go, and we just pull those out to kind of follow the shape and curve of our path. Maybe take that back here. Go. Again, we have Beziers down here. We can kind of just. I'd like to say actually it's okay because it can be picked up from here to here. From there, our infing will probably be somewhere around here. Keyframe that. Yep, and we will take our Bezier now here. Move that in more vertical. Okay. Again, 50. We will actually move Bezier and close our path. See what we get there. So lifting that up. Can do is pull that back a bit here. Use that slightly here. There we go. So you can imagine a crane wire would be connected to round fitting, being lifted. That's quite exaggerated. Here we go. So now round fitting will be following our path, coming through. Do have a slight kink here. You can control. Actually, there's two ways to kind of manage that. One is to just move our Bezier again. Third time of asking, click the other side. Shift that over. The other way is to slow this one down, this dummy point down, back to parameters. The 0.8 looks about right to me. Bring this one up slightly. Bring this one up slightly. Okay. So far so good. Snaking along our path. Up and over, and then from here, it's a matter of doing the same thing again, taking our end fitting back into our trajectories. I would say we kind of want to detail it down here, so around 300 being there, so let's just say 230. Let's bring it back in here. Our profile, try and get hold of our Bezier here. Go. Just rotate our end fitting round. at 200. We'll do the same again. We'll just rotate, move our end fitting around here, follow our profile, take hold of our Bezier point, just line that with our path constrain. Doesn't like me. Let's go. Just gonna straighten that up here. This top one, we will let's see what we've got. Yeah, so we kind of want it 70. Still maintain, follow our profile. Overlay that here. Take that slightly. Again. Looking to get hold of the Bezier points there. And just pull her out slightly. Should be fine. Hit set, make a set key. So we're whirling round. Be a bit more angle actually. Really doesn't like me today. There we go. And if you feel there's just a bit too crowded up here, then all you need to do is kind of come back into your points, take that back about 55. There we go. This one, 49, just to even the gap up. So far so good. We're snaking over our profile. Let's just see what we've got so far. Put our VLS tower back on. We'll hide all of our helpers. Just imagine, I guess, here in fact, have maybe some sort of roller system support. Like that. Then I guess we'd have a couple of rollers here, just to set the scene for you. One here, an instance. One here, I don't know. And we'll put another one kind of here or something. Here, okay, so you kind of get the idea. So if we hit play, get lifted up, then starts following over here, over our tower, down and through, and we're not far from what we're looking to achieve. Okay, get to this sort of part here, it's about 260. Motion path is our friend. Through like this. And we'll use our Beziers just to kind of follow the trajectory and the path. Here. It's looking good. Along here we kind of want it just to turn 250. We want this to still kind of a bit vertical. Go. Can sort of fine tune the Beziers. Coming over to line up. Set key. and over. And I guess about 270 we would this, like so. Again, Bezier. Following path eventually into final position. In fact, our final position should be a little bit over here. So we're happy with that end fitting coming up and over. As you can see, our end fitting is following the path we want now. Happy with that, so it's just a matter of kind of adjusting our dummies to this point. So just snap back to 280. We'll take this parameters and we will just set 85.1. Our next point is up here. Snap that to say 77, 70, 78. Our next point, bring that down 70. Our next point, oops, yeah, bring that over our shoot here. See what we've got here. Snaking round over our shoot. Like so. One thing to also take a note of is with your NURBS curve or your path constraint is, although it's quite smooth looking, and to increase the sort of fluid motion of our cable going over, is to increase your curve interpolation points. So typically I can put this 20. Sometimes if it really needs it, 30, but usually 20 is all right. It's a good number. I'll just smooth that out for you. Another sort of a bonus tip, if you like, is say we have this round here, and for whatever reason the cable was either too bunched up or wasn't enough of a curve. What we can do is we can go into the cable itself, go back into Animate Spline mode, make sure this little toggle is on. What we can do is hit vertex, and we can actually show vertex numbers. So our end point here on it is the top here. So that top vertex corresponds to 1. This one corresponds to 5. So we can actually animate these as well. We need to, for whatever reason, there's a huge gap between 2 and 3, or we need to come round and then tighten up again. We can actually animate these Beziers as well, take it tighter, you know, or increase it if you like for a bit more slack. So that's definitely another handy tip. You know, you could animate it to be slack here as it comes to, I don't know, 180. As you can see, we'll then increase slack even more, so we can keep enough. In fact, probably just better animating this one. Keep that on screen. There we go. So animate that. Bezier and back to 150. Tighten it back up. So yeah, that's definitely another handy tip for animating rope and whatnot. Just to see what we've got here, we just play, coming up and over, round. Anyway, hope you found that useful. Please remember to like, subscribe, try and grow the channel so I can produce more sort of tips and techniques on animation for the oil and gas industry, engineering, rather than architectural visualization and whatnot. Yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.